virtual word. Who's heard the term family office before? Okay, that's what I thought. So it's, some people have heard it and it can mean several different things. So if you ever hear the word family office, I would just ask for more information, because it could mean someone who has $100 million who built an office of their own. They have an accountant, an attorney maybe, to deal with, trusts and estates and their kids and everything. They have an insurance person, they have an investment person. And in the old days, you had a lot of money, you had north of $100 million, you built your own office to manage that money. And that office made all investments, whether they're investments in the stock market, the bond market, private equity, venture capital, hedge funds. That's what you did. You invested on behalf of this one family. And then you did trust documents. You wrote, God forbid something happens to this family or this person tomorrow, what's going to happen to the money? Where does it go? Does it go to the kids? Does it go to the spouse? Does it go to other family members? Does it go to charity? That's what the attorney, the trust and estates attorneys, they draft that. Then you've got the accountants structuring the entities where the money should be and how to make it tax efficient. You've got other accountants who help them grow their, grow the wealth in any business that they invest in. So, you've got all of these individuals or all of these, I would say, service or practice areas that come together and work for the benefit of the family. And that's what a family office is. Now at WIS, we have what we call a multi-family office, right? So today, people have realized that having an office is so expensive that it's not even worth it anymore if you have $100 million to have an office like that with all these professionals. It's still going to be incredibly expensive to run. With technology, we're able to aggregate all of this money in all these different families that have not only $100 million, but a lot less. We have clients who have $1 million, for example, and they're clients of the family office. So we're able to aggregate all these families and have this family office service, which is very high touch, white glove. I mean, who wouldn't want that, right? We pay people's bills, we talk to their kids, we invest their money, we deal with any issues if somebody passes away. We're basically like this financial concierge, if you will. Like anything related to wealth, we do their taxes. We figure out how to have them pay less tax. If their kids don't have money for estate taxes, we have insurance policies. So it's like anything that the ultra high net worth individual needs. So we have different people working on different things in this family office. So on the wealth management side alone, you've got the people who love investments and they're quantitative and they just want to research all day. So we have that type of person. We've got the financial advisor who is client facing, who wants to be more consultative and wants to constantly be in front of people. And that's a position that's the position that we will be recruiting from, we will be recruiting for in perpetuity. So basically this person is basically the face of the company and, would learn how to advise on the investment strategies, would advise on financial planning, would advise on retirement planning if these people are business owners and they're going to be selling their business. They need that cash flow to retire. What are they going to retire on if they sell their business? So they need to turn a lump sum into a stream of income. Or they don't sell their business. Maybe their business went under and they need to figure out how they're going to retire. So all these things are, they're big transitions for families. And it's really interesting. I think it's really interesting to help them figure out these custom solutions. So you've got the financial advisor, you've got the investment people, you've got the operations people. Now the operations are like the backbone of what we do. And that's like, I mean, without them, we can't breathe during the day. So those people are very, very key. Every function is very key, but the operations keep everything together. They are on the phone with all the investment partners. They're on the phone with the people who hold our assets. They reconcile trades. They deal with issues. They try and translate between what people on the outside of the firm are saying and what we're saying. So if you like solving problems, then operations is a great place to be. I'm laughing because it's like you talk to someone, what's a typical day for an operations person, and you'll never hear the same thing every day. There's always a new thing to solve. And then you've got the compliance department, or we call it department, but we're a small team. So the compliance, side of the wealth management business, which is making sure that we're acting according to how the SEC wants us to act. The SEC is the body that regulates investments in the US for anybody who manages over $100 million, so that's us. Under $100 million, you're regulated by the state. And compliance is, it's a necessary function, and you need to do everything to keep books and records, test your programs, test the investment strategies, making sure that everything is really like in line, making sure you're not charging 1 cent more than you should be charging. We had a whole thing where we actually, based on the value of one of our accounts, we accidentally charged someone 3 cents more one quarter, and we had to redo the whole thing and repay them those 3 cents, just to make sure that we are acting, in the best interest of our clients. So the difference between a firm like WIS and a bank, for example, or a brokerage house, is that we are what we call a fiduciary, and this is a really important concept that I think is growing. It's more, business is changing, and being a fiduciary by definition means you have to act in the best interest of your clients. And you're all thinking, well, of course, like, isn't that what people do? If they manage money, don't they act in clients' best interest? Don't they have to? No, not if you're not a fiduciary. And what that means is, as a fiduciary, acting in your client's best interest means we are not allowed to sell if we have our own products. So a bank like Merrill Lynch or Morgan Stanley, UBS, all that, those are great places, but they're not what we call fiduciary, because they exist to sell product. If they couldn't sell Merrill Lynch products, UBS products, they couldn't survive. So their purpose is very different. So they're exempt from this best interest standard, and they, by law, have to propose solutions to clients that are suitable for them. So they're bound by this suitability standard, which is very different from the fiduciary standard. So I used to work at Merrill Lynch. I came over to WIS 3.5 years ago. The family office existed prior to me, but the wealth management didn't exist. So I came over and we built the operations, the compliance, the investment strategies, the financial planning, the client services, all of that stuff. And now we manage almost $500 million, or we advise on or manage roughly $500 million, and we're growing every single day. And it's been an amazing opportunity for me. One of the best things that I feel that I would have missed out on if I hadn't come here was meeting the people at WIS and being able to train my own staff as well. For the wealth management team, and none of them came from the wealth management industry. And I think that's something that I want to tell all of you, is that you don't need any background in wealth management to go into wealth management. It's really about, do you want to help people? How hard do you want to work? Not how much you want to work. How hard do you want to work, and how smart do you want to work? So, by that, and are you able to evolve, right? So today, we just had an instance. I was in the car just right after I parked, and my teammate and I just had a text exchange. We were on the phone with a client, and we reported the wrong performance number. We reported an annual performance number, not a aggregate one. So the performance was a third of what they were probably expecting. And I realized that. And I'm like, okay, we got it. Let's just send him an email. We'll tell him what happened. We'll tell the client like what we did, and then we'll move on. And being able to take that feedback and to say, okay, let's roll with it. We've made a mistake. Let's keep going. That happens every day. So I guess my point is, no one is an expert here. We have entry-level staff that we've trained successfully and who want to get better every day, and who want to be financial advisors or investment advisors or compliance or operations people. And there's nobody perfect, myself included. And I would say that coming in like at the ground floor and building the company from scratch is very humbling. Like, we have one other person on the team who, he started out of school, out of college as a temp. And we were doing this big transition of all the strategies. Him and I kind of learned that together. So my background is a little bit different, but I would say that, the people that work with us they're just incredible people, and their work ethic is amazing, and, their ability to just keep going, even if we're making, we make mistakes and we keep going, like that's the most important thing I would say on the day-to-day. If you're a resilient person, then wealth management is great. If you're not, and you can't take a client like challenging you and slamming the door in your face, it's not a great business, because you're constantly, I would say, if you're client facing, you're constantly selling yourself in a way, right? You're constantly, justifying what you're doing so that they're happy as clients, versus them going to Vanguard by themselves, paying nothing and being able to manage their own money. You have to really make sure that they're understanding why they're paying these high fees. Or for them, they're high in comparison to nothing. So I would say it's a role where you're selling in a way. We're not selling product, but we have to make sure they're understanding our value. And we're proving that every single day to them. And we continue to prove that. When someone gives you their money, it's almost a sensation of, I gave you my money. Well, you gave me your money, but I'm not going out and buying clothes and shoes and bags with it. You gave me your money to manage and to help you. But I think, just the ideas around money and someone gives you their entire life savings, that's pretty serious. So you have to be the type of person too, where, the buck stops with you. There's no one else to blame. If you can't take these punches, then it's a hard industry to be in, I would say. But if you can, there's nothing better. So my history prior to being at WIS, I said I was at Merrill Lynch. I was at UBS prior to that. The other difference I would say between the brokerage houses or the banks and somebody like us is they have very different, I guess, targets. When you come in, you go into a program at a bank, it's like, okay, you have to bring in this money. And, we don't have that setup. Our setup is like, we're all working on clients together because we have so many clients and we're still onboarding a lot of clients like constantly. So we're growing so fast that we need people to help on the clients that we bring in. We don't need you to go out and find clients, but the banks do. The model is a little bit different, and it's good too. It definitely teaches you how to raise money, I would say. But our focus is a little bit different. It's more, how can you help with financial planning? How can you help on the investment side? Can you service the clients? Can you help open accounts? So, the program is very different where we are. And to be honest, I think it works because it's pretty nurturing. Your salary doesn't go away. and you have as much upside as you're worth, really. There's no, well, you have to make this. It's like, how much do you know, how hungry are you really? And that's what's so great about where we are. So you're not really boxed into a certain thing. So that's really the difference. When I got to Merrill Lynch, I was given a phone, and they said, okay, well, start dialing. You got 3 months, and you have to bring in, $3 million, and by month 24, you have to bring in $20 million. That's really hard when you get out of college. I mean, I didn't know anyone with that kind of money. Maybe some people that my parents knew, but they weren't going to trust me with their life savings. So the model is a little bit different. The way that I got to doing what we do today is, in the past, I graduated, I went to the American University of Paris. I speak French and I speak Italian, and I decided for college I would go to Europe so that I could at least practice my languages. And found the only American school in Paris and signed up, and it was accredited. It sounded perfect. So went there. It was a small school, about 2,000 people, graduated with a degree in economics and business as well. And it was hard for me afterwards to find a job, but I did find one in Paris at Deloitte & Touche. I was an economist in transfer pricing, and I thought, oh, this sounds great. I studied economics. I'm going to be a junior economist. And so went into that job. I learned a lot, but the environment wasn't great. It was very homogenous, I felt. I was sitting in a cubicle all day. I didn't talk to anybody. I was just writing these reports. And, I decided that wasn't really for my personality. And I went on to, kind of looking for what I really wanted and what would maybe be a better fit. So I wrote a bunch of, I guess you can call them brokers, where I was living there. I said, oh, you know what, I like economics, I like people, let me check out the markets thing and see if I would like it. So I sent out these letters and just asking for information. And somebody gave me an interview there and they hired me. And so, that was my first markets experience, and I was opening accounts for futures and options. And, that was a great experience, and that led me on to go to the trading floor where my clients were larger. They were institutions, so hedge funds and asset managers and central banks. And that was a great experience. I learned a lot about risk. I learned a lot about people. I was there in 2008, which was a great experience. And worked for a number of those places: Prudential, Goldman Sachs, BNP Paribas. This was in London. I was in London, my father was sick, so he was getting experimental surgeries in Italy. So I was in the closest English-speaking place to there, and that's how I found this career. And then, later on in life, I just wasn't feeling purpose anymore to be there. I mean, there were, I was as good as everybody else. I wasn't, to be honest, I didn't stand out. I didn't have a story. I was like, what am I doing here? It was after 2008. People were buying and selling things, and then they get another job if their fund company went down, and it seemed very artificial too. And I always wanted to be in private wealth because my parents had a very difficult experience with their own financial lives, where they couldn't retire, happy. They didn't have any money anymore. My dad was sick, he couldn't work, they had no plan. It was like a very difficult time in my life. And I thought, you know what, people need this. They need financial planning. They need to know how they're going to retire. And even if they've had a successful life, that's very different when you're not working anymore and you haven't saved anything. So that purpose really does drive me today. And that's why I got into the business. And it still makes me, it made me who I am, really. And it made me not neglect anybody ever. I make sure that I never let a client, I never let a client leave with no answer. I have to help them. I have to make sure they're not going to run out of money. And I have to make sure that they know the truth. So that drives me every day. Excuse me. And excuse me. That drives me every day. And everyone's different. So every day we see different people with different problems, different issues. And wealthy people have issues too. I mean, they have just as many issues as everybody else. And you think someone has $200 million and they're happy, but they might have problems that you need to help them with. So, most of the clients have become friends, right? And it's funny because when I have people come into my office, I'm like, here, why don't you sit here, listen to this phone call. I'm just going to be talking about stocks. And then the client turns it around and we're talking about something personal. It's like, I realize wow, this profession is really a lot deeper than that. You're building relationships. You're talking to people that really value your advice and your help on everything. I mean, they'll ask you for anything at some point and you get to know them really well. So if you value relationships, you want to build relationships, you like people, you like working as a team, that's another thing. We're very team oriented. So I cannot function without my team. I would be nowhere because everybody does something during the day for the client and we're completely codependent. So it's literally like a soccer team or a football team or whatever you want to call it, but there's no winning without everybody there or everybody having each other's back. You just cannot, it doesn't work. And there's no way that we would have grown this fast either. If everyone is not rowing in the same direction, it doesn't work. So it's kind of get on board, and everybody's got to be on board and going in the same direction, and it's a lot of fun. We have a great time. We joke around, and it's a great team environment too. And everybody gets a chance too. If you're interested in something and you're gonna work hard to learn about it, the sky's the limit. So one of our guys who started, who I mentioned, he got out of college, he came as a temp, and then he came full time. He runs our trading operation. He trades every single account, and he runs the relationship with the investment managers. He's the one who calls them, and he did this all on his own. I mean, look, obviously I was there, guiding him, but he's learned so much in 2.5 years, and he runs an entire area, and that's pretty amazing. You can't say that for, if you're on a huge team, that wouldn't happen. You'd have a smaller function. So I would say the fact that we're such a small team gives you a lot of opportunity, but you're also, you have to be the right person. You have to want the accountability. You have to want to do more. You have to want to be successful. And you can't just want to be successful. You have to work to be successful. And, we can teach you stuff, but you're not going to learn it until you learn it yourself and want to learn it and are curious. So I would say curiosity is really an important factor. This person that I just mentioned, when he doesn't understand something, he's like, I just want to know for myself, how does this actually work? Okay, why does it work this way? And that's how everybody on the team really learned. It was just by doing. You learn to breathe by breathing. You learn to speak by speaking. You learn to do wealth management by doing wealth management. There's no training guide. There's no, when people talk about the training program, well, it's hands-on. And I think that's everywhere where it's pretty hands-on. I think here, where we are at WIS, it's special because you have other people on the team to learn from. We have another person who's wonderful. She is actually our intern now. She's a full-time intern, and she came here. She was an accounting student, and she's doing a master's in accounting, and she works with us 5 days during the day. So she's also rotated in other departments at WIS, and that's also phenomenal for us because she understands different things and how they work in the firm. She's already worked in tax and audit, and now she's with us, and she did a minor in wealth management here. So she's been great. She's been great as well. So everybody on the team, there's nobody doing, I'd say everybody is a big part of the team because we're so small. So it's that startup environment that, you know, we have at WIS, on this team specifically, like the roll up your sleeves startup, get a lot of responsibility very fast type of environment. So again, it's not for everybody, but it is for the person who wants to really excel and do a lot and be somebody pretty quickly and you know, contribute. So does anybody have, you know, any questions or want to share what they're doing or what they're thinking, or how can I help you guys?
For your questions, I'd like you to stand up and introduce yourself and say what your major is. So Stephanie has, and what year you are, so she has an idea of what perspective you're coming from.
Hey, I'm Jeff. We met earlier. I'm a finance major. I graduated in 2020. My question is more of like a day-to-day, because I used to work for intern for Axe Advisors for the financial advising.
Mm-hmm.
So is it more geared towards the strategic planning aspect of it, rather than like, you know, acquiring clients, rather than like, you know, picking up the phone and making a certain amount of calls per day, or is it more focused towards like helping the existing clients that you do already have?
I'd say, like, as an entry level, it's helping the existing clients. So servicing, and that's how you learn and you build a relationship. So helping the existing clients, you know, doing financial plans, you know, anything that we need on the team, really.
Okay. Cool.
But there's no, like, you're not going to be trying to look for new clients, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like you sort of mentioned that, like the environment portion, because at AXA, like they basically just gave you a phone and were like,
Yeah.
these people.
No, we don't have that. So the firm has clients, right?
Okay.
And the wealth management firm is owned by the accounting firm. The accounting firm, like just in tax returns they have 3,200 clients. Those are not all wealth management clients, but we can fish from that pool, if you will, to add a service line and, you know, have them become family office clients as well. So we don't need to call anyone outside of WIS to have clients. So it's not that at all, but it's more of the servicing, I guess, servicing the client.
Yeah, thanks.
Sure. Is anybody applying to programs like other wealth management programs that they want to talk about? Maybe I can help.
I mean, sure. I'm Billy. I'm a finance major. I graduated in December. So I've been like beginning to apply, but kind of just like still thinking about what I want to do. What would you say your biggest tip is for like when applying to like a different wealth management program or an analyst program or something like that?
Yeah, so that's a good question. My best tip, I guess, show interest, do research on the company, and send a thank you note. Like, do not not send a thank you note, because they will remember that you've sent a thank you note.
And they'll definitely remember if you don't send a thank you note.
Yes,
I have had calls from recruiters of students have not gotten through to the next round because they have not sent a thank you note.
yeah, I mean, look, you are up against hundreds of people. So, like, if you want the job, you need to differentiate yourself. Like, no one is giving anything out anymore. Like, the labor market's, like, there's so many candidates, and now people are fishing from candidates in Nebraska that cost half of the price that you guys cost. So why would they hire you? Like, if you don't send a thank you. You have to put on your best, you know, and I would say be transparent, be honest, because they also have to want to work with you. and this is like I don't know, it's, if you think about, you know, they have to want to work with you for 8 hours plus a day. So who you are as a person does matter. It's not just no one cares about your resume, to be honest. That's not true. People care that you have been through college, but they're getting an entry level person and they know that. So, you know, I mean, how do you differentiate yourself? It's who you are, how you present yourself, how curious you are, I would say. Write that thank you note. Do whatever you need to do to, you know, they don't have a lot of time either, right? So it's like, you have to be your best in that 30 minutes or whatever it is, and follow up, right? And just show that you're interested and that you're proactive, and, you know, just, I would also say, make sure that you're honest. Like, because if you are, and that they don't hire you, and stay in touch. If you don't get hired, they will remember you. Like for us, Alexa will tell you this, on her team, they keep resumes. Like we go through the whole process. Maybe the person doesn't get hired for a certain role, but if we think they could fit somewhere on the team in a certain spot in the future, we'll stay in touch with them. And if they're a good person, and then we'll call them back and we'll hire them if we have a spot. That's happened before. Or, you know, someone will apply for another position at WIS, and this has happened. We have a guy in operations who we recruited for another position at WIS, and he said certain things, and Alexa's teammate was like, hold on a second, I think you would fit great in wealth management. Are you open to that? And he said, absolutely, and we hired him. Like he wasn't expecting it, but he, you know, they kept in touch. He was great throughout the process. So don't ever burn your bridges. It's another piece of advice. Like sometimes we have we go through the process and we like the person, but they're not, you know, it wasn't the right time or whatever. And then they'll say like, well, you're wrong. Well, you should have hired me or whatever. But we're like, never again we'll talk to this person. So like make sure you always have your best face on. If you don't get hired, it's okay. Like at some point, maybe you will. If you stay in touch, yeah, don't forget to stay in touch too. So it's a numbers game though. You have to have 100 balls in the air to have one, to get one job. So all it takes is that one person to say yes. So I would also say like apply to large companies, small companies, like it's hard to get in sometimes with these large programs where you're just a resume. So like just you know, spread your risk across and put on your best face and make it your full-time job. Because you have one shot and that's it.
He's a soccer player, so I tell all my soccer players, it's like shots on goal. How many shots do you have to take out goal before you score?
Exactly.
So don't get discouraged.
Don't get discouraged. Expect the door to get slammed in your face. Just keep going and don't stop until you find it. And you know what? This might be your first job or your first job out of college. That's one experience. You may hate it and you're gonna have to do this over again. So just try and learn from, keep your relationships, try and learn from your mistakes or learn from the people that you're talking to, you know, get advice from them, stay in touch with them. It's hard.
Thank you.
I'll ask questions for them because they're shy. Sometimes.
Yeah.
So just to clarify, with wealth management, they make their money by taking a percentage of the assets under management?
Correct.
Okay. You guys all get that? And then the financial advisors are not commission-based, they're salary. With a
Correct.
bonus structure, I guess,
Correct.
at some point. You get that too? Because there's different wealth management, as you guys all know.
That's a good point. Yeah, so the banks have, you start at a salary and then that salary goes down. You have to replace it with the money that you bring, the commissions. But we don't do that. That never goes away. You're not losing your salary, but you have to perform. and we know who's performing. It's like that, you know, it's not a target system with bringing money in, because we don't need you to bring money in, but you need to be, you know, you have certain metrics that you have to, you know, you have certain, I guess, you're rated by the team. But it's different, yeah.
Just wanted to make sure everyone understood that it's a different model.
Yeah, it really is, and, you know, we also sponsor people, if they want to do a CFA or a CFP, when they get in. I mean, we would encourage you to do one of those, depending on which path you're gonna take. Or if you're on the operations side, there are other exams, but we want everybody to be skilled in their craft and to continue learning, and so we push you to do that stuff and to get licensed. Is anybody else, so you're considering wealth management?
Yes.
Is anyone else considering a career in wealth management? Okay. And what are your, let's go down the line if you don't mind, I'm gonna put you on the spot. So you wanna start since we met already?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you want what, main major or?
No, I got your major, but have you applied already to places?
No, I haven't really applied to any like wealth management specific. Right now I do intern like for one of my friend's fathers who does insurance underwriting.
Okay,
So trying to switch over into more wealth management.
wealth management, got it.
What year are you, Justin?
Senior.
Senior.
Vincenzo Russo. I'm a senior. I'm an accounting major with a minor in wealth management. I actually worked over the summer at International Planning Alliance down in Red Bank, and then basically what they had me do in there kind of was just, it was more like a training course kind of idea, but like we were saying before, like they kind of wanted us just to bring in more clients for them, and then have just, that's how like, they base off your salary too. So you don't have a base salary there. It's like you make money through that way, but then I didn't really like that. I'd rather prefer more of a base salary just for like safety net kind of thing. So I left, and now I'm working currently about to start an internship in January at with them for an accounting
Oh, with them,
tax
okay.
internship.
Oh, cool.
International Planning Alliance, that's Guardian, right?
Yes.
Guardian office.
And what, so in tax specifically, you're working?
For with them, yes, I'm working in the tax department there specifically.
Cool. Anyone else?
So I'm Joe Crashman, I'm a senior international business major. I have a minor in wealth management. I did marketing over the summer, but I've been applying to wealth management firms, but marketing is kind of like how I planned out for the summer and to be able to be home. So I was doing marketing with TTI. So I was doing like more sales based and a little bit of marketing, like cross merchandising, stuff like that. But I kind of want to be in more of the wealth management side, just to do like more personal stuff like that.
Got it. So, anyone else? I think that's it then. Do you have any more questions that you could think that are on the?
No, I think you did a great job, and we really appreciate you all coming.
Yeah, thank
Some giveaways, so we read some stuff. Justin, do you want to say anything on behalf of the club?
Thank you so much for coming and taking your time out of your day to
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And thank you guys for all coming and participating.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm so glad that I came here. Like I said, I was like, this is 2 blocks away and I've never been. So
And thank you for helping set up.
Yes, thank you so much.
So, and the QR code, guys, scan it so